When I was younger, when I was in elementary school, I would see kids on the playground, and in my young, childlike innocence, something in my mind said to me, these kids have it together. They have something that I don't. And I've always felt like I needed to find whatever it is that was. That's sort of where it started in my life, the idea that there's something missing in my life. I feel different, but I don't know why I feel different. Hello there, my name is Ethan, and one day I am going to have a diamond YouTube play button. Maybe I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. A few of you might know who it is I am, and I did something like this. I'll put an iCard in the top of the screen here. I did a video like this introducing myself and not knowing the depth of what autism meant to me, just thinking that that was my aha moment at that time. Now, there are 5 things that define who it is I am as a person. 1, I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. 2, I'm on the autism spectrum and I'm still learning how to unlock my infinite potential. 3, I'm an entertainer. 4, I'm a gamer. And 5, I'm a guy. These 5 things are sort of the pinnacle of just who it is I am as a person. And I'm still learning how to expand my belief system and expand what it is I think is right and wrong. Now, that thing here that I mentioned at the top of this video sort of goes along with another thought that I had when I, again, was in school, that it always seemed like I could never play with the big kids in the sandbox, that I was always going to be different. And when I was growing up, autism just wasn't a thing, or at least you'd probably hear it as being called special. And for what it's worth, I do feel like I am special, but it sort of seems like the term special is equated to something that's not good. That special usually meant special needs. And I like to think I'm more than that. And that I like to think that I have infinite potential. And that I'm still growing, I'm still learning, I'm still learning how to be a better person. And I'm trying to learn how to help other people, not put them down. And it sort of seems like I have been angry, but I don't know why I've felt angry. That sometimes it feels like life has been unfair, but yet I've had it pretty good. I've had a job previously that treated me less than ideal, but now I have a job that I really, really enjoy. I had a college experience that, again, was less than ideal, but I now own a townhouse. And that's still something I'm getting used to saying. I own a townhouse. Sometimes I still feel like I'm in my junior high mentality, that all it is I know is just Contra, Super Nintendo, Sonic the Hedgehog, Mario, and just how to unlock weapons and etc. And I've been trying to learn how to just grow up and just figure out who it is I am as a person. I've written down a list of things here that I'm trying to figure out what I want to mention. And I sort of feel like before I even get into this, I feel like I have to be careful, because if I say the wrong thing, then I could I could have people get really upset with me. And I'm still learning why people get upset like that. And I don't like it when people get upset with me. Again, another video up in the iCard, go in more details. I'm going to cover just a few things here that just have sort of been on my mind lately. And maybe I can progress forward while remembering the past. It seems like maybe this is just my anxiety-ridden mind sometimes, but it seems like I'll never be normal. I'll never be neurotypical. And I imagine maybe my family or friends will say, you don't need to be because I'm perfect just the way that I am. And yet it still feels like I'm just missing something. I'm still missing just something that's at the end of my tongue that I just can't figure out what it is. And I imagine that there'd probably be an answer out there that says most everyone alive is asking that same question. And yet that sort of a statement isn't enough for me. I feel like I want to answer that question myself while helping others answer that question too. And I sort of wrote down here being normal is overrated, but I think I sort of say that tongue in cheek. I don't say that to be mean or rude to anyone else, that because I'm not normal, I'm making the most of things while building, while doing better, while making my world a little bit better day by day, making better decisions tomorrow than I made today, even though today I did make some pretty good choices and decisions. I'm trying to learn how to grow up. I'm trying to learn how to fit into a world that is a little bit weird and strange and can be strange to me. I'm still learning, I'm still improving. It hasn't been the easiest for me. There have been times that I've wanted to go after something, and yet I could only get so far. When I was in college, I tried to try out for a group called Comedy Sports, and on the plus side, it helped open up my eyes a little bit to the world around me. But on the negative side, I wanted to perform on stage, but I only got to perform so much. And there was a little bit more that I needed to learn in order to just be better. I may not have gotten to perform on stage, but that told me I really like to improvise. I like to make people laugh. So I created my own improv show, and there'll be a link here on the screen if you're interested in that. And I'm making people happy on a weekly basis. So some of these things I try and go after, and yet something happens where it's not quite what I expected, and I'm still trying to come to terms with I'm being okay with this, and yet there's still something in the back of my mind that says it's not enough. I want more. I want to be able to go after something and get exactly what it is that I want without compromise. I could probably go into so many stories, so many things that just frustrated and just irritated me. And yet I'm trying to stay positive. I'm trying to stay upbeat because I don't want this video to be negative. I don't want it to be a woe is me moment. I hope anybody watching this, be it neurotypical or not, take something from this, and I help make your day a little bit better too. So if there's something that I've learned about myself, is that it's okay to ask for help. When I was growing up, it sort of seemed like I depended on my family a little bit too much. And as I'm getting older and getting more life experience, I'm trying to figure out how to do this on my own while not just pushing them aside. Being able to do things here, again, in this new place of mine, and then being able to call them on a phone, invite them to dinner, or say, I need help with something, and not feeling like I'm being overly dependent. So it's sort of these life skill things that I feel like I've been missing, and I've been trying to have this just be a thing that I'm trying to discover, and again, just trying to improve myself and get better. So I'm trying to grow up, but yet at the same time, I enjoy who it is I am as a human being. If there's a couple of things that I like gaming. I like the feel of a video game controller and keyboard and mouse in my hands, and seeing how the 3D space improves and the virtual reality space improves and gets better, that interests me so much. I enjoy video editing. I enjoy taking an idea, a fantastic idea in my brain, and putting it out into the digital space, taking it to my computer, putting the images onto the screen, putting the audio in, rendering it, uploading it, and just watching it over and over, just realizing this is a project that I did. And there are other people that have watched it and have liked it. Some have been weird, some have been pretty good, and I'm still learning how to do this really, really well. And I'm not quite there yet. If I ever want to get this Diamond YouTube play button, this is how many subscribers I have as of the recording of this, and there's no way I'm gonna get that if I don't just do it. And it's my own fault that if I say I'm gonna do it and I don't do it, I have no one else to blame but myself. So it's just my own fault. So I think what it is I'm sort of getting at here, I'm trying not to ask for pity, but yet there may be times I need to ask for help, and I'm still learning how to not be egotistical about it. I'm still trying to find the balance between asking for help and yet being able to do this by myself. I do realize that I live in a world that expects me to be nothing but just a guy wearing a suit, that I can't have a sense of humor, and that I must always be boring, or I have to be interested in something that I'm not. And that's honestly not who it is I am as a person. I have suits. I can dress up. I don't mind going to a museum once in a while and taking in some history, some art, but yet at the same time, that's only a part of who it is I am. I find interest in watching old VHS tapes and taking information off of them and recording them and archiving them. I guess I should say too that I'm not really pointing this at any one person specifically. I have a really good circle of friends and family, and I'm trying to be appreciative of each of their life journeys as I figure out my own life journey. There's so many good, bad, and weird things going on in the world right now. As of the recording, there's still a pandemic going on. I'm still trying to stay as safe as I possibly can. This world is so interesting. The fact that I'm holding a device in my right hand right now that's allowing me to record a high pixelated image of myself that I'll take to my computer and upload, and other people will be able to see it. I almost wish that I had access to this technology when I was younger. I couldn't even begin to imagine me holding this in my hand could be possible. And I look forward to seeing what sort of technology will come out in the next 30 to 40 years. Something that can be 5 times as good as this. 5 times as good as just what it is I have access to right now. There have been a handful of things that have been on my mind here lately. So I've had in my mind the concept of what if I took over the world, quote unquote, not as like an egotistical mustache twirling thing. It's sort of like an empowering statement, as sort of a just what if. I do want to change the world, and I want to help build it and make it a better place that is good for everyone that lives here. There's still a lot of things that confuse me, but I'm still trying to learn how to make sense of these things, even though a lot of these things are still just go right over my head. And I'm trying to learn how to be empathetic. Oh, and that's another thing here too. There's a bit of a misconception out there that people on the autism spectrum have no empathy, but yet I'm trying to learn how to understand. Understand when somebody is upset or angry. Um, this job that I mentioned previously that I said I just didn't like, I dealt with a lot of angry people that were just upset and they didn't get something that they wanted. And I needed to find ways to make them so they weren't angry. So I like to think I'm getting better at learning about that. And I realize too that my experience may not be the same as other people's experiences. Take this as just my experience. And if it helps you, great. But at the same time, I'm not trying to just push this onto other people. I've sort of seen, I'm not going to go into details about this, but I've seen other people, other individuals, again, no one in particular, try to make things better, but they do it in a way that just is a how dare you attitude. In the year of 2021, how dare you do this? That's not who I am as a person. I try to see the good in people and I try to find ways to make things better and lift people up. One thing that I firmly believe with myself is that autism is my superpower, but not only that, kindness is my superpower too. I feel like I can make a lot of friends with being kind and trying to reach out. Have you ever seen like any typical action movie where the hero's just about to fight the villain of the movie and the villain will say something to the effect of kindness is weakness, there's only power or something to that effect. And it's like how dare you be kind because it's kindness in itself is sort of mocked. But yet I've seen it too many times too in a handful of movies, again, nothing in particular here, where the hero is kind, maybe to a bully or to the villain, or in some cases, and yet the villain is mystified that how can you be kind to me when I was so mean to you? And yet there's just something good about being kind to other people, genuinely kind, and it just makes things better. I will admit that I'm a child of the 90s and I grew up around situations where you were kind and kindness begat kindness. I don't want to call it a virus, but at the same time, it sort of proliferated itself. It, again, just made things better. I'm sort of at this point that I have a lot of questions in my head, a lot of things that I'm still trying to get out of here. I still have a little bit of trouble vocalizing myself, vocalizing what it is I want to say. I had some special ed classes growing up, but I went through the majority of my school career, elementary school, junior high, high school, college, without knowing about this thing called autism. It was out there. And when I was in the verge of graduating from college, that was the aha moment. That was when it is I found out what it is has both given me these crazy ideas in my head, and yet the reason why I never had a girlfriend growing up, why I didn't make really, really good friends. I only have two people that I consider to be my best friends, and yet I never really was able to get it to the point of the hang out after school type friends. It was sort of like I could go to school, go to like the lunchroom and stuff, and people would know who it is I am, like Norm from Cheers, but yet again, I never really established those sorts of relationships. I'm sort of starting over in a sense. Again trying to build and make things a little bit better. College in itself was weird. It was sort of the start of the point that I made some mistakes. I tried to fix them, and I continue to make mistakes. But yet, I'm doing good now. I own a townhouse. I never would have thought in all of my lifetime in my digital brain that I'd be capable of filling out all this paperwork and going to all these spots to look for a place that could fit what it is I need as a human being. And yet here I am, and I'm still in awe that I was able to pull this off. So yeah, I want to be kind as a person, and I'm going to try to be as kind as I possibly can be. A thought occurred to me as I was coming up for the idea of this video. I'm sort of a blank slate, and yet in my lifetime here, I've learned a lot, but there's this thing about unwritten rules. And when I say unwritten rules, it's just sort of this things that society is in general have these unwritten rules that you're supposed to follow, and if you don't follow them, then you're looked at weird. Why isn't he doing this the way that it's supposed to be? And the reason I mention this is because it sort of seems like every day that I learn about a new unwritten rule that I'm supposed to do something in a very specific way, 3 more unwritten rules come out, and if I'm not following them to the letter, then I'm looked at as being weird. I'm looked at as just, again, unusual. That it may be pity, it may be something else, but just, again, it's sort of like taking 2 steps forward and 1 step backwards. And every time that I mess up, it's like, how dare I mess up? Things are a little bit weird, but yet at the same time, I'm trying to learn about this, and if anything, I'm really good at adapting. I'm really good at figuring out things, patterns. I will fully admit that I like using the word yeet. Yeet. And using that in very fun, silly ways. At some point here, I'm trying to learn how to get better and be better as maybe a video editor, as an After Effects user, and there's one thing it is that I've noticed with myself too. I will admit that I like playing Blizzard Entertainment games, WoW, Overwatch, etc. And there'll be times that around, say, BlizzCon, that there'll be artists that will show up some really nice art, some really nice pictures, whether it's from the company or whether it's just fan art. And something in the back of my mind will say, you could have been this good. You could have done that. Why are you not that good right now? So it's sort of like imposter syndrome, but yet at the same time, it's sort of just this mental demand that I be at a very specific place. And because I'm not, it's like my brain is giving itself permission to be angry and upset at me, where I'm still learning how to go through college and get the grades that I'm supposed to, so I can get that diploma, so I can start making a living out there. So it's this back and forth thing that I'm still learning how to be a human being, while yet figuring out who it is I am as a person, like those 5 things I mentioned. I will mention too, when I was in junior high, I can't explain why I did this, but I was determined that I came from another world, that I was an alien coming to Earth, and yet now, ironically, I'm doing sort of a 180 here. I'm trying every day to just be a human being, to discover new art, new talents, to unlock my fullest potential so that I can add to this world, to be a better person. And yet again, it's sort of because I have this mental condition, this whatever you want to call it, autism. It's sort of like there is no way I'm going to ever add anything to the world because I'm not capable of it. I'm never going to be able to do anything more beyond always needing my family's help. And yet, again, I sort of disprove that because I own a townhouse now. So let me back up here for just a moment. I realize that there is this phrase that usually is said in this sort of a circle that if you meet one person on the autism spectrum, you meet one person on the autism spectrum. There's a reason that it's called a spectrum. And where it is, I'm on the spectrum, if there's like a spectrum up here, is that there could be so many other people on the different end of the spectrum. How many people would I actually help with doing a video like this? And there's like one or two things that sort of occurred to me, and this could apply to anyone of any age, whether or not you want to experience this. I think growing up, I didn't really know what it is I did want. I went to school, and I went to school because my parents wanted me to get good grades. I went to school because that was the routine. If I got good grades, I got rewarded. If I got bad grades, I got grounded. And that's what it is that I knew. I would go to school, I would play video games at night, and maybe occasionally miss out on an assignment to get in trouble. And I would go to church on Sundays and begin to develop my evolving beliefs. And that was the routine. It sort of occurred to me that I could have done more with that, but I didn't because I didn't know that I needed to. Two things sort of come up to me as I'm thinking this. To any of my other friends that are out there who are maybe discovering that you're just on the spectrum now, or maybe have just learning about it now, whether it's at the beginning of your life or where it is I am in life, two things come up here. What are you passionate about? What do you feel like really interests you? Is it trains? Is it books? Is it libraries? There have been times that I've seen many other people have different fascinations. I've learned that not every person on the spectrum likes what it is I like, and that makes the world a little bit more interesting. Again, I have plenty of stories that I could share, but again, I'm not going to get into that right now. And sometimes it's frustrating that those stories don't get told because, again, autism. I've had my own ups, my own downs, my own weird things happen during my own journey. I'm still trying to determine what it is I'm passionate about and what I can do as a human being to help other people and help pass it forward, pay it forward. So find your passion, but also, I feel like I have to say this very carefully. Figure out how to find your voice, how to get the tech that you need so that you can express yourself. I don't know how to say this without maybe upsetting someone. Try to find your voice as quickly as possible, but if you can't, take your time. Do what you need to so that you can find your voice. Do what you can so that you can find the tools and the resources that you can so that you can help somebody else. Like I'm attempting to do with this video. I feel like I'm in a bit of a weird situation because I didn't learn that I was on the spectrum until I was out of college. I guess that sort of means that I'm sort of a self-advocate and that I'm still learning how to be upfront and how to request things. So I guess that's sort of what it is I'm getting across. Don't give up looking for those resources, but at the same time, find your passion. Find what it is that interests you as a human being. As I get older, I hope that one day when I'm 100 years old, maybe longer, again, depending on technology, that I can look back and say to my own grandchildren, look at everything it is I've done in my life. Look at all these good things. I don't want my accomplishments to just be, I got this townhouse, but at the same time, I want those things to be, I got married. I got married in the temple. I I was able to have children and raise them to be proper human beings. I I want to get more arcade cabinets. I want to do fun and silly things while at the same time doing what it is I'm supposed to be doing. And I don't really know how to properly answer that just yet, but I do know that at some point I want to have a relationship and I want to have a girlfriend at some point. I want to try to find some way that I can record my thoughts and feelings and take maybe my viewers on that journey with me. I want to get married and how to have that sort of a relationship while at the same time not just being that guy that does nothing but just game all day. Again, it's this thing that I'm still trying to figure out, okay, how do I go about doing this? Is there things that I need to give up if I'm going to do this? How do I do this without giving up who it is I am as a human being? This tech here, this stuff that I have. I can't just pivot away from it, but yet I know that this is something that I need to do. I just don't know yet. I'm still learning what it is to be a content creator, to be a YouTuber or influencer or whatever title it is you want to use. Maybe one day I'll find a way to be sponsored by maybe Arcade One Up or find resources that I can say, this is something that I like, and maybe it'll help you out. And then I can show that I can be a good person while still finding other ways to be helpful. Yeah, I want to get married and have a family and find a way to be a cool dad and a cool father, be helpful, and help build this other person up, this other woman up, as they help build me up. I try not to say that try that as being arrogant or anything. Just figure out what it is I need to do right now so that I can achieve those dreams. I can get that diamond play button and continue to help entertain people and make people happy. Because when I mentioned here earlier that I couldn't get into comedy sports, I made my own improv show. And I started it first as stress relief for that job that was just being annoying. And yet, to this day now, I've had people say that they're so happy that I do what it is that I do, and that someone told me I make a lot of people happy. And that makes me feel really good that I'm helping alleviating some anger and putting some pure joy into people's lives. And I'm hoping that it's not in a sense that they're just saying, there's that guy doing the really lame comedy bit again. Why does he keep doing that? Or I'm gonna laugh at this, but only to make him feel better. I hope that I can actually get to a point where I'm making people genuinely laugh, not just for my sake, not just to make me feel better, but to properly instill that laughter into other people's lives. Again, to proliferate more happiness, to make things better. But I think that's as much as I can get out here for right now. I look forward to the future. I have hope for the future, and I look forward to unlocking more of my infinite potential that's in this brain of mine. I know that there are cool ideas up here. I know that there's other weird things that maybe there's a viral idea up here that I just haven't found yet. Here's to the future where I can actually find that. So for that, my name is Ethan, and until next time, be you, be yourself.